You're welcome back to the show. I am Alti Decider Sadek. Today we're going to have a hearty conversation. We want to understand the place Ghana's cocoa marketing company is positioned in the grand scheme of Ghana's cocoa exports and the value it gets for these exports. Ghana's cocoa marketing company, established in 1947, the over 70-year-old company has its mandate to sell Ghana's cocoa beans locally and internationally. We want to understand what new markets is it exploring, and so we're here to speak to the newly appointed managing director of Ghana's cocoa marketing company. He's Dr. Wisdom Dobry. Doc, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Hope you're well.
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm well.
Wonderful.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. So, we want to know you a bit just before we go into what you'll be doing with Ghana's cocoa sector. But I want our viewers to have a fair idea of what you'll be talking about. So if you can tell us, what are the 3 key things that you'll be looking at in transforming the cocoa marketing company that's been handed over to you?
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to come over here and lead this important organization for our nation. 3 things: that would be value addition, operational efficiency, and also investing in our people.
Okay. Tell us about you. Where were you before the appointment as the MD for CMC?
Well, I applied my trade in the United States. I've been a banker for my career. I spent about 20 years in banking in the United States.
Okay. Then from finance, you're moving into marketing Ghana's cocoa beans. Yeah. When you came into this space, what were the handing over notes like? Where was CMC positioned just before the reins were handed over to you?
Interesting you asked. Is when I was told that I was going to lead a cocoa marketing company, the first question that I asked myself, how is this related to finance, or to banking, something that I have done all of my career? And I quickly found out that it is not necessarily agriculture as we understand cocoa to be. It is more about how do we market the produce of Ghana's cocoa. How do we go to the market and get the best possible price for Ghana's cocoa? So it's pretty much related to some aspect of finance, which is relates to my background.
Ghana's cocoa sector, when I saw the Auditor General's report from 2024, showed a dip in exports from over 500,000 tons, dipped to about 200,000 tons. I do see also that it's projected to rise to over 30%. Tell us about that.
As far as export is concerned, when we receive the cocoa, we also sell locally and then we export for the most part to international markets. Now, CMC is well equipped, when it comes to how often or the quantity of export that we can do. We have about 467,000 metric tons of warehouse capacity that is spread across Kumasi, Tema, and also Takrady. So we have the capacity to receive additional produce if we are lucky to get a good crop. And then Cocoa Board also has about a warehouse with 50,000 metric tons capacity in Tema. So I believe we are in a very good position to receive the cocoa and export.
Exports are expected to hit 520,000. What are you doing with that? What are your new targets with that figure?
Today, about 70% of my cocoa goes to Europe. All right, that by itself represents some aspect of a volume risk to us. And so we are in conversations to diversify. So we are pursuing diversification strategies now, talking to buyers in other markets, including Japan, and also North America, and specifically US and also Canada. Now in Asia, we are having conversations with some of our stakeholders in Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore. And so I strongly believe that we will be able to diversify our volume exports in the near future.
What is the interest of the Asian market in the cocoa beans? Do you have a fair idea of what the final product will be?
Yes, a lot of our produce that go to Asia is used for chocolate. And in fact, there are some places in Japan they do have a stand that is called the Ghana's cocoa, Ghana's chocolate. Okay. And we want to take advantage of that and do more of that in the Asian market.
Okay. Let's talk about exporting the raw beans as compared to the value addition that people have called for, and which seems to be at the heart of what you want to do with CMC as well?
Yes, you know, one of the things that His Excellency the President has talked about is how can we get the best value or the best foreign exchange earnings from our natural resources. And when we took over this organization, one of the things that we quickly identified is opportunity, you know, to add value to some of Ghana's cocoa beans before we ship. For many years, a lot of the shipment that we do is raw beans. And so I did put together a technical committee, and they did a very good feasibility studies. What would it take for us to be able to add value and export that so Ghana can get a little bit more from our cash crop? And I'm happy to announce that the work of the technical committee indicates that if we grind about 50,000 metric tons of cocoa, we should be bringing in about $500 million US additional foreign exchange into the country. And so with the blessing of Cocoa Board and leadership, we will start this year to actually add some value before we do exports.
Okay. How is it CMC and Cocoa Board responding to global price issues, volatility of markets here and there because of all of the wars, conflicts and things that are happening, the CD dollar rise and fall?
That's a very good question. In today's market, prices have been volatile, as you rightfully said. But for a very long time now, some of the things that we have thought about that we want to do, and we are actually doing, is about 70% of Ghana's cocoa, we sell that on a forward sale basis, taking advantage of higher prices. And so when you do that, you actually have a price floor. And so when there are volatilities, that really doesn't affect the farmer as much, because the farmers are guaranteed 70% of the world market price. My team and I are also pursuing different types of hedging strategies to take advantage of price changes, right? If prices go up, we also want to be able to participate in that upward rally. Okay. But if prices decline, we also want to make sure that we are well covered. So we're working on different types of hedging strategies.
On the African front, what influence does countries that also explore their cocoa and sell them to international markets like Cote d'Ivoire and the others, what bearing does it have on the prices of Ghana's cocoa beans?
That's also an interesting one because, look, Ghana has about 70% of our world market price that is pledged to the farmer. That is compared to 53% from Cote d'Ivoire. And so we are pacesetters. Ghana's done a very significant job by ensuring that our farmers are getting the best out of our cocoa. So we are leading the race when it comes to what other producer countries are doing globally.
Let's talk about tariffs, the U.S. market or the foreign market, the European market, and global shifts. The tariffs that have been slapped on different African countries, how is that affecting us? And then tie in AGOA, which has expired quite recently.
It's unfortunate when I think about the United States tariffs. Other producer countries have also been impacted. We have Indonesia that is impacted, I think, about 20%. So when you compare that to Ghana and other West African countries, we are still comparatively cheaper compared to other producer countries. So I have no concerns of as far as our export to the United States is concerned. That also, I need to also mention this, that Ghana's cocoa beans is recognized as premium, and truly it is. Even
in this time when galamsey is plaguing the cocoa sector and all of those nuances?
Yes, absolutely. We are deforestation compliant, and then also Ghana's cocoa is fully traceable from farm to port, all right? So that actually gives us some kind of a competitive advantage on the market.
I'm sure you've heard of child labor issues. So there were extensive documentaries, investigative pieces done on Ghana's cocoa sector and exploiting children. Mm-hmm. How certain are you of where you buy your cocoa from, beans from, or where the beans comes from?
It's a very important conversation that has been ongoing. The European Parliament actually passed a law called the EUDR. I think the full name is European Union Deforestation Regulation, and included in that is also child labor issues. Ghana has done a very, very good job to the extent that we are all the farms are mapped, right? So if I see a cocoa bag, chances are I can tell you where exactly it is coming from, which farm it is coming from, who is the farmer, what are some of their labor inputs. So we've done a very good job to curb child exploitation in cocoa farms.
Let's talk about the farmers as well. What are you doing? And I'm back to the pricing as well, to cushion them to be confident to sell cocoa beans to you instead of to Côte d'Ivoire and smugglers, middlemen.
It's interesting you came back to that point, because I'm really proud of what this administration has done, to address the issue of smuggling. Again, today Ghana is the only country among the producer countries in West Africa that is pledged 70% of the world market price to the farmer. What that means is that we are paying more, all right, than Côte d'Ivoire. We're paying 70%. Côte d'Ivoire is paying 53%. And so that by itself would curb the risk or the issue of smuggling as we've seen in previous years.
What information have you picked up about what the farmers would want better for the entire cocoa sector? Because it's a lifeline to them and they are important in the value chain. And so if you're exploring new markets and you're progressing CMC and the work that it's doing, it will benefit them. What are they saying?
The farmers would always want the best outputs or the best returns for their crop. But I'll talk about what Cocoa Board has done. I would say Cocoa Board has done a very commendable job, in the way they focus on the farmers, providing them with drought-resistant seedlings, investing also in mechanized farming. And it may interest you to know this. The Cocoa Board has taken a very key initiative to implement a pension scheme for our farmers that are 65 years and above. And we have about 800,000 farmers in Ghana. This is a key item, and hopefully 2026, that should be fully implemented and farmers should be able to take advantage of that.
I will take you back again to the point about products and what cocoa beans, the potential that it has, aside from our chocolate, which you say is loved in Asia. What is CMC doing with the grandmother company, Cocoa Board, to explore other avenues of using cocoa beans?
Yes, and that actually is the value addition initiative that we're doing, all right? So this year, my proposal that the mother company will be considering is, can we process about 50,000 metric tons of cocoa? That should bring in about $500 million into Ghana. I'm working with CPC and also WAMCO and other processing houses so we can add some more value and start by producing liquor. Now, additional products that we can invest in or we can actually do will be cocoa powder and also cocoa butter. So once we get the blessing of Cocoa Board, I think these are some of the semi-finished products that Ghana will be venturing into to bring additional revenue into this country.
Let's talk about the trees, the plants, climate issues, and research work around the lifespan of cocoa trees and, the knowledge the farmers have to be able to take care of outbreaks for the trees and the products and all of that.
Again, Cocoa Board has a very wonderful team, responsible for supporting our farmers when it comes to the trees, aging trees that have been impacted by disease and all of that good stuff. And I can tell you that a lot of work has been done. A lot of the trees that are aged, Cocoa Board is providing seedlings to replace those. A lot of the trees that are impacted by disease have been cut down, and Cocoa Board again is providing seedlings to replace those. So the support that the government is giving to our farmers to ensure that we have a better yield, I think that is extremely commendable. Ghana today, we do a lot of smallholder farms. And government is very cognizant of that fact that the individual farmers and all that they do contributes to the total output that we have. So I believe that the policy that Cocoa Board has in place to support our farmers, I think is extremely critical and is helping a whole lot.
Food waste is also one problem, and what the byproduct of the raw materials after cocoa beans are extracted is used for. Is there any research that's gone into that? Is there anything that's done in that area?
Interesting you ask. I traveled to my counterparts in Cote d'Ivoire, to understand what they are doing in terms of leveraging the byproducts of cocoa. What else can we use that for? And I learned that we can use the pod, the cocoa pod, and the shell of cocoa to produce what is called a biochar. That biochar also helps as a conditioning element for the trees. You use that to condition the soil, and hopefully I understand that it helps with the yield. And then also you can use that biochar to power plants, processing plants. So we are in the process of thinking through and hopefully implement some of these projects here in Ghana so we can take advantage of the byproducts of cocoa and create some of these things like biochar here in Ghana as well.
Okay. Let's talk about government's policies. You definitely would be aligning with some of these policies in turning around CMC and all that's doing. What is the foremost ones that you'll be using? If you can tie that into technological advancements as well.
That's a great question also. His Excellency the President has talked extensively about, Ghana running a 24-hour economy. And when we took over this organization, one of the things that we did was we put together another technical team to investigate or to assess the feasibility of running a 24-hour module here at CMC. And I'm happy to announce that they produced a report indicating that we have a great opportunity to implement a 24-hour operating module here at CMC, starting from our shipping department and also our warehousing operations and other functions that we have. So we are waiting on the blessings of our parent company, our Cocoa Board, and others in leadership. Once we get that, we should be implementing a 24-hour operating module here at CMC. And that is going to help us a whole lot. Okay. It will improve shipment times and also delivery to our buyers globally.
Is it something that is happening already at the ports in shipping?
That's a good one. The ports in Ghana, Tema Port is already operating a 24-hour shift, right? So we are just going to tie into their operations, and I believe that is going to be a win-win situation for all of us. And
you mentioned in your 3 key thematic areas that you'll be looking at in turning CMC around about your team and investing in, building your team. Tell us about how you're going to bring them along in this 24-hour economy drive. Now, you are from the private sector, and you're inheriting a company that's in the public sector. Were there any drawbacks, and how do you intend to overcome them?
I'm very lucky. Of the 1,001 people that could come here at CMC and lead this organization, I consider myself extremely fortunate to be asked to come here. So I don't take that very lightly at all. Then secondly, I've been fortunate. I also inherited a team of professionals that know what they're doing. Now, if you compare the private sector, what I'm used to the private sector, there's a gap, right? There's a huge gap in terms of how decisions are made. In the private sector, we made decisions pretty quickly. Here in the public sector, things are pretty slow.
Decision-making frustrates you? The timelessness of decision-making frustrates you in the public sector?
I won't say it frustrates me, but I think it's a gap, right, that we can improve upon. And also when it comes to corporate governance, in the private sector, what I'm used to is much more clear, but in the public sector, it's not always clear. And so I believe that is the reason why we've been brought here. Everyone His Excellency has appointed in the sector. These are folks that know what they're doing. They are professionals, and I believe we'll work together to improve how we make decisions and also properly address corporate governance issues. But to talk about some of the things that we will do and how we bring the people along, again, the people that I inherited, the team that I inherited over here, they are professionals. They know what they're doing, and it's very easy to help them understand why we need to transition from one operating module to the other. It takes dialogue and conversation. Change is always a difficult thing, right? But once people understand the import of what we're doing, they come along.
You're watching The Breakfast Show. We're speaking to the MD of Cocoa Marketing Company, understanding what his drive will be in turning the company around. Dr. Dogbe, I'd like you to touch on your 5-year vision or plan for CMC, but also, are there any other areas you'll be looking at in empowering your team? Are there going to be workshops? What are you going to do to ensure that your team supports you in all of the plans that you have?
5-year vision plan. Well, I want to make sure, right, that I'm working with the team, collaborating extensively to add value to Ghana's cocoa. That's the #1 vision that I have. You know, Ghana deserves to get the most out of our cash crop.
Have you been unimpressed by the kind of value we are adding to our cocoa all this while?
I think it's a culture thing that we've become so used to exporting just the cocoa beans. I think this is the time to seriously pursue a value addition. And so that is my vision, to lead this organization in adding value to Ghana's cocoa beans and get more in terms of foreign exchange for our nation. That's #1. Then I'm also very, let me put it this way, I'm very much passionate about developing my team. Okay. Again, the people over here are professionals, but I believe that there is still opportunity to invest in them. If you take care of your people, they take care of the work. That has been my philosophy. So I implemented an initiative here called the New Dawn Initiative. This is fully donor-sponsored initiative where we identify about 6 top-performing talents. Okay. And we have our partners that support this, that provide funding for this. And we take our teammates to Netherlands to see how the cocoa is received. That the cocoa they work on over here, they go over there and see how the cocoa is received and learn a thing or two about warehousing and shipping. From there, they will go to Switzerland and visit some of our stakeholders and see how the cocoa is processed. From there, they come to UK, in London. We have a CMC UK office, and they will visit our office there to see how the trading is also done. And I strongly believe that this is an initiative that would invest in our people. They will learn a thing or two over there and come back to Ghana and implement this. And we'll do all of this without costing CMC a dime. Okay.
Cocoa Board, new leadership, of which you're part of because your company is under the parent company of Cocoa Board. What's the grand vision like and how is CMC fitting in there?
You know, the grand vision, I strongly believe that we need to turn things around. That's why His Excellency the President brought us here. Cocoa Board, when we took over, it's a company that is saddled in so much debt. And thankfully, His Excellency the President has appointed top professionals who would turn things around. I strongly believe that. Where CMC fits in is, you know, His Excellency has already pledged 70% of world market price to the farmer. CMC's job is to go out there and get the best price for Ghana's cocoa. If we can do that, I can sleep at night.
Okay. Does Galamsey in any way seem to frustrate your efforts to, you know, ensure that Ghana's cocoa is seen as premium quality and the best market to explore?
Galamsey has been a challenge, right? It's been a headache for everybody, regardless of which side of the political aisle that you sit. But the good thing that has been done so far here at CMC and also across Cocoa Board is our proactive initiative to comply with the EUDR. And so what Ghana did is we have invested very, very heavily in ensuring that our cocoa is very traceable. Right, we can tell where the cocoa bean is coming from. Is it coming from a place where there is Galamsey is going on? Or is it coming from a safe farm? We have done a lot of work, and 95% of Ghana's cocoa is fully traceable.
And the AGOA, the Africa Growth Opportunities Act, is expired, and the potential that it's had for Africa is huge. I've seen countries like Kenya talk about how it's going to affect its workers in the garment industry and all of that. What's going to be the blowback for Ghana and countries alike?
You know, it's unfortunate that we allowed AGOA to expire. It's like you said, in Kenya, for instance, in the garment industry alone, they exported about 474 million United States dollars worth of garments in Kenya. That created about 66,000 jobs. 3/4 of that were jobs for women. All right, so that is just Kenya. When it comes to Ghana, the impact is huge. And so a lot of people had questions. I've also read some articles about what we are doing as a nation. I strongly believe that our Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they are lobbying behind the scenes to get us to the best possible outcome after the expiration of AGOA. But as I mentioned to you, CMC, we are also pursuing diversification strategies. Can we export to different countries, the BRICS, Asia? What else is available to us? Now, Ghana's cocoa, again, is of high premium, all right? So we have the opportunity to explore other markets, even if AGOA is expired. Okay. That's number one. Then the second thing is that we do have the African Continental Free Trade Area. I believe that this is the time for Africans to start thinking, what can we do among ourselves? South Africa has a big presence of cocoa grinders. Is it time to start exploring that market to sell more beans over there for their grinders also? I think these are all opportunities that we have despite the expiration of AGOA.
Don't you anticipate challenges like transportation? I have heard ambassadors talk about frustrations of how expensive it is to travel from African country to African country instead of from African countries to Europe, for example. And I know that the ECOWAS has been working on this East Corridor Road, trying to link African countries together, railway connection and all of that. Won't that be a drawback?
You know, I have a different view on that. You know, we have airports that are working just fine. Of course, we have a deficit when it comes to infrastructure development in terms of rails and all of that. But if you look at the African Continental Free Trade Area, that takes away any form of tariff.
Okay. All
right. So the cost saving from non-tariff transactions should be able to cover our transportation costs until we're able to invest more in expanding our transport infrastructure across Africa.
Okay. And so I'm asking what internal effects, if we have better transportation, alternative transportation like trains and railways, will have on the cocoa industry, just like the gold sector has been calling for?
I think it will have a tremendous impact on the cocoa sector. So if you recall, His Excellency the President has also announced the Big Push initiative, where there will be massive investment in infrastructure across the country to open up the country for trade. And that, to me, is a key item, right? If you want to build a nation, you open it up for trade. If we do that, I believe a lot of, not just for cocoa, across different industries, we will see much more efficiency. Now, I'll mention this quickly. One of the challenges that we have with the ships calling the Takoradi port is the cost, because when they call Tema Port, they pay. When they leave Tema to Takoradi, they pay also. So they come to us and ask the question, can we work on reducing the fee for them? And some of the alternatives is being to move cocoa by road. And that also puts a lot of stress on the road. So to your point, any investment in rails, in other forms of transportation, that will make us much more operationally efficient, and it will be a win-win situation for all of us.
I'll leave you with the last word for your team and all of the farmers who are watching you from across the country.
Look, I can say this very directly to our farmers, that His Excellency the President, he has them at heart. And the policies that he is pursuing is to ensure that we do what is best for our farmers. If you think about guarantee 70% of the world market price to our farmers, that's number one. Working with Cocoa Board leadership to ensure that our farmers have a pension scheme that is being worked on today, and hopefully once everything is aligned, it should be launched in 2026. And so I'm very confident that the direction that we're going as a sector, we are on the right track for the best of our farmers, in the best interest of our farmers and in the best interest of Ghana as well. For CMC employees and folks that work within the cocoa value chain, I think this is the best time to be part of cocoa, to be part of a bigger story, bigger than all of us, to do what is best for Mother Ghana.
Okay. I would love for you to go, but I just want to ask, farmers who feel shortchanged and, are frustrated by middlemen, what would you advise them to do? Because of the 70% floor, right, price floor, it is very difficult for LBCs or middlemen to shortchange our farmers. There is a price. It is illegal for the LBCs to pay them below what has been announced. If anything, I believe that some of these middlemen or license buying companies, they may have more incentive to pay a little bit more to the farmers. I don't know how many of the farmers are getting more, but at the very least, the minimum that His Excellency the President has announced, that is going to the farmer. And my job and the role of the leadership here is to ensure that we are also playing our part in the value chain for our farmers to get the best out of their product. Okay. The other things that the farmers rely on to be able to get good yields, chemicals, fertilizers, and all of that, what would be your call when you go to any table to make demands to make your work better and your farmers work better? What would be your demands?
It's only in Ghana, for the most part, right, that our farmers are taking well care of, right? The government has policies in place to ensure that seedlings are provided to them, fertilizers are provided to them, and Cocoa Board is doing a tremendous job ensuring that our farmers get the seedlings, ensuring that our farmers are getting the fertilizers as well. So I would say, look, we're on the right track, right? There's always opportunity for improvement. Cocoa Board is fully aware of this and working on this for our farmers.
Some farmers have never tasted chocolate. These are farmers who are neck deep in the value chain from the beginning. Some of them find it difficult to access scholarship for their children. What can be done? What will be your request to Cocoa Board to ensure that your farmers are happy?
That's a new one for me. One of the things I would do is to ask the question, just as you asked. What can we do to ensure that our farmers who actually toil to produce cocoa get to taste chocolate? I think it would be a very good thing when we're going to the farms, we go with some bars of chocolate as a goodwill initiative. Okay. And I also believe that there are a handful of scholarship packages for children of cocoa farmers. I think those are already in place. We may have opportunity to improve on it, but I think we have something already running.
Okay. Let's talk also about insurance for farmers and how to better their livelihoods. You're talking about protection of the trees and biochar and all of that, but the farmers and life insurance to make the cocoa sector attractive for them to keep wanting to be farmers.
You see, the average age of the Ghanaian cocoa farmer is, I believe, 55 plus, and a lot of them rightfully are concerned about, insurance for their farms, and even insurance for their source of income when they retire, when they don't have strength to farm any longer. Again, that is why His Excellency the President has announced and tasked the leadership of Cocoa Board to work on a pension scheme for our farmers. And all of that is already in the works, and I believe in 2026, the pension scheme will be announced and will be launched and implemented, which will go a long way to secure their future.
What you do if you're not working? I'd like us to wrap up with that. Getting to know you, what do you do?
I wish I had enough time to not do work, right? But if I do have time, I like to watch soccer. I'm big into watching soccer.
Which soccer? Local, international?
I watch EPL, the European Premier League, and I watch Manchester United. Unfortunately,
that's the team you support.
That's the team that I support.
The team that raises the hair on the back of the neck of any fan who watches.
It's a challenge these days, I would tell you, but we never say never. Okay. All right, it's a ride or die kind of situation. But for some of us, we are also very fortunate. I support Real Madrid in Spain.
Look at that. You don't want so much broken heart. So you have to look for a team to push yourself. Hopefully your coach has the zeal and passion that you have to turn around TMC, to turn Manchester United back to winning ways. Thank you so much for speaking to us. It's been a pleasure. We wish you the best in the work that you're doing, and we'll definitely follow to see how transformative the cocoa marketing company will be. We've been speaking to the newly appointed managing director of the cocoa marketing company, is Dr. Wisdom Kofi Dogbe, to understand the positioning of CMC and the grandparent company, Cocoa Board, value addition to Ghana's cocoa, new markets, emerging markets that they're exploring, farmers and their welfare, their livelihoods, pricing of cocoa, and he's expertly told us what his plans are. Keep watching the show. I am Out to Decide. There's more.